Alright, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been quite a while since I posted. Thought I would post my master test knives. We've posted the performance test. First up is a ladder W's pattern fighting knife with a sculpted guard, about an 8 1/4 inch blade. The handle is Hawaiian koa, and I have a silver domed pin on there. I think once you get to the master level, you should be able to dome pins. This is a beautiful knife, one of my favorites. Stunning piece of Hawaiian koa. I believe I got that from Shelton Pacific. Incredible piece of koa. So anyway, this is the fighter knife. It grips really well. You can grip it that way, or if you're in a combat situation, you could grip it that way as well. Beautiful feeling knife. This is the second knife that I submitted for my master test. It is an 8-inch blade with a laddered patterned Damascus blade. The frame is a one-piece integral construction, laddered as well. The guard is also laddered. This knife was pretty difficult to make. It's got beautiful exhibition grade koa on the handle, nickel silver domed pins. This knife was probably inspired by Tim Hancock and James Rodabaugh. I saw several knives of this style in Tim Hancock's book, and then I saw one that James Rodabaugh had actually built and held in my hands, and it was really inspirational for me, and I wanted to go ahead and submit one for my master test. And I went ahead and got permission from James Rodabaugh and Tim Hancock as well. It's a takedown construction. It has a finial nut on the back. I don't know if you can see the frame. What I did is had a standard frame. I took some laddered 15N 20 and 1084 and forge welded it to the frame, and then forged the center of the frame out. There's a lot of hand filing in this particular knife. Quite a difficult knife to build. I like the feel of a domed pin. They're not real proud, but just enough that you can feel them. It's very hard to achieve to where there are no thumbnails or anything catches on them. Mike Quisenberry shared his technique on doming pins, and that was been a big help for me. This is my third knife in my master test submission. This is a feather pattern fighter. I believe it's about an 8 1/4 inch blade. It's got a harpoon clip on the back of it. James Rodabaugh is the first person that showed me how to put that forged clip on there. Actually not show me how to do it, but he's the first person that I saw do that. Beautiful piece of feather Damascus with a forged tip in it. The feather really follows that blade. The guard was a piece of W's that I used in that billet, and it's a twisted laminate. And I also used it in the ferrule as well, or spacer. So this piece of ivory is a piece of walrus ivory premium grade. Always look for a nice dense core with, you want that dentonite in the center, that core dentonite, you want that in the center, and you want a lot of ivory around that. You don't want that coming out close to the edge. This particular knife feels good in the hand. It's a fighter as well. Feels really good. Has a silver domed pin in it. This is a nice knife. I really like this style of knife. It's got a good flow to it. So I really like this pattern, how you can see how I had the feather pattern and forging the tip in that feather pattern. It pulled all those lines to the tip. You can tell this knife has been forged. This knife was probably one of my most perfect knives on the table. There's really not any flaws in this knife at all. This is the fourth knife that I submitted for my master test. It is a classic Dguard Bowie in a Persian twist pattern. There's 8 bars in that. And if you'll notice on this knife, you can see how these layers all follow the outer edge. You can see how those little stars follow. This tip was actually forged in. Took a lot of planning to get everything lined up correctly. And that was That was a pattern or a technique that was shared with me by a deceased mastersmith, Mr. John White. Very interesting technique. This again is a beautiful knife. This is one of my favorite knives. Everybody likes this knife. They want to pick it up. Classic Dguard Bowie. A little history. The Dguard part of it is a Persian twist as well. A lot looser pattern. It's in a takedown construction. Premium walrus ivory handle. All the fittings are Damascus. I have one nickel silver spacer at the top that's been coined. Damascus ferrule, Damascus spacer on the bottom with a Damascus finial nut. This knife feels really, really good in your hands. If you can look at that guard has a lot of character to it. Not just a straight guard. If you look at that guard, you can see I put a little effort into decorating it up, creating a nice shape to it. This Dguard, this 8-bar Persian twist, Turkish twist, is very, very hard to photograph. I spent a little bit of time on the phone with John Horrigan. He's a master smith and helped me with the twisting of those bars, giving me some reference as to the amount of layers that you need in those bars. It's not as high as you would think. And this is my master dagger. There's a lot of hours in this knife. Everybody's afraid of the handle, which I was afraid of the handle. But after you make a few of those, measure everything out, and just spend some time and measure things and go slow. That handle's not as complicated, but it scares most people off. So the Damascus blade is I had a 9-way bar that I forged out, a 9-way square, into 4 separate billets, twisted it opposingly, and welded it together. Use that same technique on the tip as the Dguard. There's 4 different types of steel in that. In the checkerboard, it's L6 and 1080, and then in the W's pattern part of that blade, it's 15N20 and 1084. It's 11 3/4 inch blade. The quillions are W's pattern that I twisted, and the fittings as well. The spacer and the pommel are all W's pattern, low layer count. It's in a takedown style as well. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just a gorgeous piece of steel. The quillion's another part of this knife that are hard to get uniform. You have to measure it, and that was probably one of the most critical things, is making sure that these quillions lined up this direction. They came up the same height on the blade. A dagger has a longer ricasso to catch the rapier. You want those quillions to be fairly wide. Dagger's made to push, so I made this in a tape. It's larger at the front, narrower at the back, and has a little bit of swell in the center. The handle is a premium mammoth ivory interior core. It's inlaid with argentium silver wire. Anyway, just a gorgeous piece, fun piece to make, for sure. Passed with flying colors. This has been a fun journey. Spent lots of hours in my man cave working on these knives, and I would like to thank my family who sacrificed a lot of time, and I gave up a lot of time to be with them, and they were very understanding and to help me get through this test. Had a lot of people help me get through this test, a lot of master smiths that I got to spend some time with, talk to, evaluate my work at knife shows. J.W. Randall, Tim Hancock, Mike Quisenberry, Harvey Dean. I had a lot of people look at my knives. Tad Lynch, Tommy Gann, and some journeyman smiths as well. Mike Tyrese is as good a journeyman smith as there is, and Mike would pick up a few things that the master smiths would wouldn't catch. James Rodabaugh, another master smith, Bill Burke, all these guys helped me tremendously. And Tony Hughes, my traveling buddy. Tony didn't get to go with me at this particular knife show when I tested, but we tested as journeymen together, and great friend and great traveling buddy. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me, and good luck in your adventures.